I think we should make perfume today. It's not going to be very complicated. Right. So we are starting at the beginning again, so that people don't have to delve deep back in time to find all the films about how to do things.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the actual, what if you suddenly decided that this year is going to be the time that you learn how to make perfume, and then you think, great, I'm going to make perfume. How do you do that then?
Mm-hmm.
So if you were going to start to learn to make perfume, Arthur, what do you think you might need?
Alcohol.
Yes. Since you mentioned it, here we have some pure ethanol, almost pure, it's denatured, it's got some stuff in it that makes it taste bad, but it's organic grain ethanol for you specifically in perfume. You can also use certain oils as the base if you want to, but you know, 99% of perfumes that you see on shelves in shops are in ethanol, because it's so very good at doing its job, which is dissolving things and then distributing the aromas and enabling them to spread into the area that you want them in.
Mm-hmm.
So we have ethanol. What else do you think we might need? What do you think people think they need?
Essential oils.
Yes. So we have some of those as well. I've got some. I bought them already diluted, but I'm going to dilute some other things. I brought kumquat essential oil, which is made from those tiny little citrus fruits. Everybody wonders what to do with. I've got Virginian cedar and I've got Atlas cedar just here for the moment. What do you think they might not want to put in their perfumes?
What do I think they might not want?
Yeah, people starting out at the very beginning.
Horrible chemicals.
Yeah, so I brought some really nice chemicals. Because I've got one here called Cervolide, or Cervolide, if you wish to pronounce it in its native Swiss French, which is from Givaudan. This is 100% strength. But it's so nice, safe and benign. We can smell it like that. So I'm going to dip a little bit of Cervolide and see what happens, because, okay, hint, bend strip so that when you put it down, it doesn't put anything on the table, it doesn't pick anything up from the table. Hint 2, write down on the strip what's on the strip. So I'm put Cervolide 100%, is it 100% strength? Are you getting anything from that?
No.
Okay.
I'm getting like a slight softness.
That's what you get. That's okay, because it's a musk. And
yeah,
slight softness. At 100% strength, smelling a musk, that's pretty much all you get. But
I mean, it's almost not a smell, and it's more of like a sensation.
It's a feeling. So I have its description here from Givaudan. It's musky. It says musky and powdery. Cervolide has a fine musk note, slightly fruity with a woody background. It's got chemical formula C15H28O3, which means it has carbon, hydrogen and oxygen in it, which is basically the same as water. And well, that's the H2O bit. The carbon, every plant that ever existed basically built off that. Its big name, it's making a noise, I turn the noise off. Its proper name is 1,6-dioxycycloheptadecan-7-one. Didn't practice that first. Okay, so use level, it says 2 to 10%. And you can look this up on the Givaudan site. Use level 2 to 10% doesn't mean that it's restricted to 2 to 10%. It means this is our guidelines. Generally, we'd recommend somewhere between 2 to 10%
of the fragrance.
Of the concentrate.
Of the concentrate.
So it'll probably end up being, you know, a lot less than that, up to 2% in the finished formula. And it's good in candles. It just says burning effectiveness, because thinking, why would you do that? It's good for a shampoo, and fabric conditioner, because all the money mostly comes from things like that, not...
I was just, I read the other day about an air quality experiment where they tested the air. Were we talking about this?
Maybe we were, the ones recommended by government. The air quality,
yeah, but then if you light one candle in the corner of the room, the air quality just goes, like, it's so bad, actually.
Don't make candles. Yeah, so it's got a sustainability chart now. So this is why we're going to talk about this being... there's no restrictions on it, because it's really lovely. It's got the full social responsibility tick, because it's made ethically. It's not totally made from renewable carbon, but some of it is. So some of it will have been dug up. It is readily biodegradable. It's made with green chemistry. And the olfactive impact, the only thing that's low, and the olfactive impact low. But that's sort of the way you sometimes light your musks. So all that information about the aroma chemicals, the molecules we use in perfume, all available. And so, like we say, we don't use nasty chemicals, we use the nice ones, and there are lots of them.
Mm-hmm.
And it is very soft.
Yeah. It is. I would like to. I can imagine it being lovely with things.
Yeah, and that's what we will do. So then, what do you do if you've got yourself, what's this, 30 grams of Cervalide, which Givaudan's agents gave me for me to test it, because they sell it by the kilo and by the 5 kilos. So I didn't even have to buy it.
The next thing you'll need
is
a scale.
You'll need a scale, you're right, I just put that on the scale. I put them back on. You need a scale, and this one is fairly beaten up now. I had it for a few years, use it for classes. It cost £20 from eBay. I use scales from Ohaus. Spelled Ohaus, which I get in the
German
UK.
engineering.
I get them from SLS, Scientific Laboratory Supplies. Very nice people. They are much more expensive. But then I've got one old house scale I've had for 10 years. And that's the thing, they last. So you're paying for 3 things. The accuracy, so how many decimal points it goes to. I don't think anyone needs more than 2, but some people disagree with me and go down to 3 decimal points. You're paying for accuracy, you're paying for how much it will measure. I've got one that goes up to 6 kilos. One that only does 500 grams because it's much more accurate. And that all adds to the cost. And robustness adds to the cost. If I drop this, that would be the end. The Ohaus one, I wouldn't want to drop it. I would have to rebalance it and recalibrate it, and don't ever drop your scale. But the buttons are wearing out on most of these. They're just not very well made, and you never want to leave them plugged in overnight. Well, you don't want to leave much things plugged in overnight, but I just wouldn't trust them. So I have 100 milliliter bottle here. You might reasonably think it might contain 100 grams of what you want to use. That's not going to happen because ethanol is much lighter than water. Water's 1 to 1. Everything's relative to water. 1 gram weighs 1 milliliter weighs 1 gram. Put 1 gram in, you will have 1 milliliter. You put 1 gram of ethanol in, you've got about 1.25 milliliters. Ethanol's just bigger than water.
It's less dense.
It is less dense. So, a 100 milliliter bottle will take about 80 grams of ethanol. So, if I want to put the Cervalide in, let's say I dilute it to 10%. Let's say I find a pipette pad. Let's say I completely forgot to bring that one up with me. I was going to use one of these from at the top. Maybe we should do a here's one I made earlier and just... Why didn't you turn it off? I return magically with a pipette. I'm going to use this because these are reusable and they fit in the bottles. So you can always use plastic pipettes and put a screw top on. There's a secret to not allowing this to evaporate. One is buy expensive ones. But there's other stuff. The weight's just gone up. You put something on the scale and you press the tear button, it resets it to 0. It's gone up to 0.23 grams. Do you know why? It left the collar of this on when I put it on.
Oh yeah.
So I'm pressing tear again and it's 0. So I want to have it at 10%. I know I'm going to put 80 grams in total because I'm putting ethanol in. So I want to put 8 grams of the Cerveau in there. So I'm going to use this pipette because I'm going to use it in there later. And I'll reuse it. So this is probably going to be half a gram because it just always is. 0.5. Oh, 0.63. I squeeze it well. You can't make stuff come higher up the pipette. It just won't go. Because you can only squeeze like half a cubic centimetre of air out of the bulb. If you had a bigger bulb, you get more.
If you had a long bulb that you rolled up.
Just think how few squirts you'd have to do anyway. So we meditate while we're doing this. Or we chat, but the trouble is if we chat, I'll probably put too much in. Let's get distracted. So
Way up to?
I am up to 5.55.
It's going to magically start again at 8.
7.85. 7.93. I mean, it's really 8.01. That will do because I can still do the maths. Now bear in mind there's a little bit in here still. And if I was going to be good Sarah, which I think I will be, I'll rinse it out. So I'll stick some ethanol in a beaker and I will rinse it out so that I'm not carrying any extra into there. We can be accurate. Okay, it's magically crept up to 8.02. That's fine.
So you need 80.2.
80.2. Might try not to squirt ethanol into. This is a proper ethanol bottle, and that's what it's for. So no, I'm gonna have to. It sounds like the wind through the rafters. It's actually got something. So it's a cleaning bottle. It's supposed to be for squirting things clean in labs. So it does have air going through it, so it's fine. Endless amusement, this. 60. 69, 70, 72, 76, 77, 78, 79. 80.3, that'll do, because I still think there is some on the stick. Because, frankly, at this level, point, tiny, I'm not going to start again. I'm going to write this down now because that's really important, you know. Rule number 1, put the lid back on. Rule number 2, write everything down. Cerveau at 10%. Now I know I put everything in ethanol, so I'm not going to write 10% in ethanol, but if it was in anything else, I would put that. Rule number 3, do you recall?
Always put the lid back on, write everything down, and smell everything with a strip.
Pretty close. Get to know your materials.
There we go.
Remember that one? And I'm not yet familiar with Cerveau. Well, I've smelt it. I guess what it'll do, because it's a musk, so it'll soften everything. but I've not played with it. So I might also dilute it to 20%, dilute it to 5%, dilute it to 1%, see what happens. And then I would mix it with a lot of different things to see what effect it has on my fragrances. So, it's disappeared again. It's too soon.
Yeah, I'm just getting a lot of alcohol.
Yeah, and that is another thing we have to do, but that will make us just, we could just spend a lot of time filming, not much happening. But it is actually best, particularly with these things, to see, have they dried yet? And then, and after a little while, I'm just getting a slightly, very soft, cloudy, vaguely misty, quite creamy, I think. Gently fruity musk. And because it's part green chemistry and readily biodegradable, I think I'll ask them how much it costs. But so I'm testing it. I also brought other things. I brought another lovely chemical called orange flower ether, which is completely different in character. Because there's orange flower absolute, there's even an orange flower essential oil was narrowly made out of bitter oranges. But, oh my goodness, they're expensive. So, sometimes you want an orange flower effect. You might use, or you want to boost your orange flower because, I've got to take the lid off. Because there's only a certain amount you're allowed or you can afford. And that's how you take those stoppers off. So we're going to dip the tiniest amount at 100% strength to see what we think. Now, I know I should put the lid back on, but I'm leaving it off for the moment because I need it. It is much more intense. It leaps off the page at you. So off the page, well, yeah, piece of paper. It leaps off the paper at you. So if you're going to write down your reviews, if you're going to start by making notes on everything you smell, this, you might want to give it an intensity rating. I'll probably give this about 6.5 out of 10.
That is both. It's green, it's very green, and very orange at the same time. It's both. It's the entire plant.
Like you're saying, green with one eye and orange with the other eye. Or...
Yeah, it's the entire plant. It's amazing.
Yeah. I found originally when I was starting, I just couldn't get my head around synthetics. I would smell them and just go, I don't know what's going on here. So I think I'll put this at 5% strength.
Yeah.
So this is a 10 ml bottle, so it means it will take 8 grams. So I would put 0.4 grams in to have it at 5%. And if any of that maths is too baffling, don't worry, come to the Patreon where we explain. So this doesn't take so long. We already have 0.43, so I should put in 8.6 grams to keep it at 5%. Shouldn't have done that. It's just humanly impossible not to just sniff everything. It's what humans do, but we should try not to sniff things at 100% strength. Right, so I just top this up to the 8.6 because then I don't have to press tear and I don't have to do the... I love doing these noises. I don't have to do subtraction. And we're up to... Yeah, okay. 8.6. Here we go. About these, which I get from Ampulla sometimes, and Coloured Bottle Company sometimes. And I will write that down. Here's what you do to stop it escaping out of the top, because it will evaporate out of the joints if you're not careful, but it'll make its way up by a scientific word I've forgotten. When things that
Oh,
automatically crawl up, narrow.
Oh.
Yes. Oh, damn. Anyway, so if I left it with a little bit or in, it would fill up the tube and evaporate. So what I always do when I'm putting them back is empty the tube. Capillary action.
Capillary action.
Capillary action.
Well done.
It will.
Yeah.
Actually, I think it's a bit fat for capillary action, but I think what happens is the air in the top evaporates and it sucks some up. So maybe it's more like a vacuum. Anyway, a combination of capillary action and a vacuum. But empty it. If you empty it, it can't push its way in. So always as these bottles, that's the thing to do, is you empty the pump when you put it back in, and so many people complain that it all disappears out of the top and it just doesn't. So orange flower ether at 5% in ethanol, writing down, labelling the bottle, because there are some people who think they'll remember what's in every bottle they do, and they leave them hanging around my studio and then go back to France. And not so much, but it's then difficult because you have to try and smell it and remember what it was. So I would say that, okay, so we dip this. As well. And see how does it feel at 5%, because it's going to be different, and it would be different if we did it at 1%, 2%, 10%. But the thing is that in a fragrance, when you're making a compound for a fragrance, eventually when you launch it, it's always going to be at 100%. So you don't really need to see, and it's going to spend a long time seeing how it acts in different percentages by itself. You need to see how it reacts with other things.
So that makes it a lot more present when it's diluted.
Present is a good word, because the ethanol lifts it off the paper, and now we have more of a...
Yeah, it almost smells stronger at 5% in ethanol than
at 100% by itself. Yes, where it's here. Yes. So we find if we dilute things to the kind of strength that they would be used at in a finished fragrance, then you can get more of a picture of how they feel.
Mm-hmm.
So that is a very good way to start things. I also brought... I have the kumquat. The kumquat is already diluted to 10%. Because we can't just film dilution. So we've done dilution. That's how you dilute them. So here's some I made earlier. Whoa. I love a citrus fruit, Arthur. These are weird things, though. You ever eaten one?
Yeah.
Because you're supposed to eat the whole lot. You can't peel it. There's nothing left. But then there's loads of pips in it, so that's all of it. So, I like that. Can we make a fragrance out of just Cervalide, orange flower, ether, and kumquat?
Yeah.
Yes, we
Definitely.
can. Yes, we really can. So this, I'm going to use this. All it's got is a bit of ethanol and Cervalide in it. So I'm going to pour this into a handy other vessel I have, because I want to use this. This is aluminium, but this is aluminium that's been through the washing machine several times. Now it's fine to use aluminium because it just doesn't react with what we're doing. Plus, you drop it, it bounces, and it doesn't absorb fragrance the way that glass does. So the glass ones tend to end up smelling more, and these still just retain their
integrity.
Also, they're lovely. Yeah, and I got those from Scientific Laboratory Supplies as well. So this is when we come to our formula sheet, which I have written for workshops. It's got columns on it. It says material, percentage dilution. So that's what we need to keep track of. A plan, what should we do? And then we've got lines for different versions, A, B and C. So you don't use a new page for every version. So I'm going to put the server light in. I'm going to put orange flower ether, I'm going to put kumquat. And we are going to do a very quick, soft
citrus.
Soft citrus
Soft scoop.
Cologne.
Mmm.
Now, I think what's important is, first of all, to balance the orange flower and the kumquat.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why, because the musk won't balance with them. You can't try and get an equal blend of musk and either of those citrus materials, the single molecule and the many chemical full kumquat, because the kumquat essential oil is full of chemicals made by nature, hundreds of them. I'm going to get one of my business cards to experiment on. No, I'm not. I'm going to get the proper thing, this to experiment on.
It's not a communion wafer.
And it's not. It is not. This is a small filter paper.
Little Catholic joke there for all you Catholics out there.
Yeah, this is a very small, very vintage Whatman filter paper that I got from eBay.
Whatman.
They're quite expensive. What you can do is just take watercolour paper and cut them up into pieces. Mm-hmm. But this is one thing I like to do. And you might hear some criticism about using drops for anything, and that's because we must measure by weight, always. No arguments. So we're measuring by weight, because all cosmetics, all formulas are measured by weight. You then dish them out into a bottle by volume, but that's when it's all finished. So, however, to give you a rough idea before you start using up all the materials that you've just bought, I'm going to put a drop, just one, of kumquat on that at 10%, and a drop of orange flower at 5%. I'm just going to see what that smells like then. So, yeah, again, we're sort of pausing today. It's not a thing you can rush, perfumery. It's going to take you 10 years to learn how to do it properly, so you might as well...
Start now.
Yeah, but, you know, a couple of seconds here or there. So, have that. It smells remarkably good.
Mmm.
So kumquat separately, and then the orange flower ether. I like the kumquat more. I
think...
What do you think?
2 parts kumquat, 1 part orange.
I think so too. And sounds like we rehearsed that. I don't know. I think we just made so many films, Arthur. We've just started to agree on things. Not everything. Most things. Even though the kumquat is twice as strong in effect, so actually we'll end up with 4 times as much kumquat as orange flower. But that's fine.
But the orange flower is quite brutish.
Yeah. It's the thing about some of the aroma chemicals is there a little bit.
Now that has taken on, that has got lots of the qualities of, and I know why,
Go on.
but you're going to explain it. Lots of the qualities of lavender in it. At least I think I know why. Can you smell that?
The qualities, yes. So, citrus fruits and lavender are sort of about the same intensity. They also have some materials in them that overlap. I mean, there's probably some linalool in kumquat, but there's a lot in lavender. There are individual molecules which are in both lavender and it's a lot of citrus fruits. And they sort of feel similar, even if they might not necessarily smell the same. But
There's a lavender
Definitely
quality.
a certain reminiscence of. You see, then I'm tempted just to grab the lavender CO2 extract, put a drop on that and see what happens, but it shouldn't really be.
This is...
I don't know, there's a big collection of other things.
There's a huge collection that you can't see on the camera. But I've just found this strip with the blue thing on it. What's that?
Oh, strip with blue thing. If it's blue, then we've probably been testing chamomile.
Oh, yeah. That'll be it. But
Difficult to tell, because I think all that's happened is the blue's still there, but the colour's gone. I'm just going to see what it's like with lavender as well then. But this is the thing, you can get very distracted. Genuinely, you can potter all day.
Yeah.
That's a good time, I think, to have our videos on. Treat them as a podcast. Potter like crazy in your lab.
Yeah.
Now, it's a completely different thing, but I like it.
Wow, yeah.
It just became a lavender citrus.
But it's
Nice.
gone quite... Oh, yeah, I like that. Big fan.
Yeah. And of course we should come back to these in 20 minutes and half an hour and an hour and 2 hours and 4 hours and the next morning.
Yeah.
But this is a demo. So I'm writing down the percentages. They are all diluted to. And my plan is, say, 2 parts kumquat, 1 lavender, 1 orange flower ether. So then I'd probably put, if I'm going to round it up nicely and neatly to 10, I'd put 6 servalide in. Because what the servalide, well, I'm going to start with a little bit and then I'll go bigger. So, right. Tear. So I'm going to do this in grams. When you're starting out, you probably won't want to use that much, but I do. The more you put in, the more generous you are. If you can afford this, the more you get back. The more accurate it will be. So, what am I on? Orange flower ether, 1 gram. And I know not everyone can start with what they consider to be large amounts, because this will then have to go into a 15ml bottle because it won't fit into a 10. Okay with it. So that was my plan, but I'm going to write it down because that's accurate. Next, kumquat. So press tear. So this is you know how to make a perfume. Kumquat. We're putting in.
They look like persimmons, don't they?
Two. Much smaller. They look like tiny little long oranges, but they've got peel like oranges. Not. There's a persimmon tree. I've never seen one before in the Parc Monceau in Paris.
All right.
And we were walking around this park, thinking, "What? There's all this squashed stuff on the ground. They were just all falling off and landing on people."
I love a persimmon.
Well, I don't. You know, it's funny. I just don't get it with persimmons. They don't do much for me. They're not tangy enough.
This is true. They're very sort of creamy and round.
Yeah, I don't like creaminess in my fruits. I like them. It's a personal thing.
It's a persimmon thing.
That's a very persimmon thing. That was quick. And I'm going to do it, yeah. 1 gram of the lavender CO2 extract. So, yeah, CO2 extract, that is a natural material which has been, it's a different process. It's using supercooled carbon dioxide to basically freeze it, smash the molecular structure up into bits, and then you can get really accurate smells out of the raw materials, even if they're quite delicate. So I say smash into bits, I mean molecularly. So now we have our blend, and we can test it. I was thinking of doing the 3-part test for you as well.
How much is it? How much of it has gone missing to the strips?
0.01 grams we lost through the strip. So yeah, that's another reason why it's a good idea to make. So we've got 4 grams of stuff in there. We've lost 0.01 gram. It's not a huge percentage. However, if you dipped it and all you'd made was 0.4 grams, it would be 10 times more significant. Yeah. So
it's taken on quite a minty quality to me.
It has.
Quite like
all
it.
by itself. Good. And this is, it's about experimenting, isn't it? So, with the server lights, I plan to put in, I plan to make it 60% musk and 40% these things. However, first of all, I'm just going to put in 1 gram. Just to observe what it is that it does. So this is me mostly experimenting with server light. So I would take this away and just use it with individual materials so I can get my own head around exactly what it does. So when I'm getting to know it a little bit better, it's like if you meet a new friend, and it's terrible to introduce your new friend to all your other friends all at once, because I think it's better to introduce your friend individually and see how they get on, and then maybe with a couple at the same time, and then maybe throw them all in together. But so Serverlight is our new friend. We just want to see how it gets on.
Oh yeah, it's
right, so that's
it's a good mingler.
Yeah. So this is. Oh, okay. So I've been. So this one is just the orange kumquat and lavender. So I've called that Ockle, and then this is with the server light. So this one's called Cockle.
Seen cockles and
Muscles alive, alive, oh.
I like it. I think we want more Serverlight.
Funny that. That was what my plan was. Why would we do that when it already smells good? Well, to make it last longer. It won't dilute these materials, which I will call it a cloud, because that's what, for me, that's what it is. I might just put 4 in and it will fit in a, I put it 50% musk.
Yeah.
And then 1, it'll fit in a 10 gram bottle. So for practical reasons, I've been it'll fit in a 10 ml bottle because it grams. And another 2 squirts, and with 3.6 already.
What's the subject on the Patreon this month?
Citruses.
Ah.
But as well as doing citruses, we're also covering basic techniques.
Aha.
So we're going back to the beginning. Okay. So it's now 50% of the original blend, and it is 50% musk.
And of course, the ingredients are already diluted.
Yes.
So you don't need to dilute it now.
No. So in fact, it's not quite 50% because one of them was at 5% strength and the others were at...
Yeah.
So we do the maths later. Well, there is... The maths film already exists up. In fact, the maths is still on the wall from when we made the film.
Oh, there we go. So you never go wrong having 50% musk.
Yeah, you're too right.
Lovely.
It is, it's lovely. Now, people might say to me, but what about your mid-notes, and what about your thingy notes, and what about... But it doesn't really matter when you're experimenting.
Mm-hmm.
If it smells good, you can wear it, it's safe, it does what it says on the thing, which is for us to make a citrus cologne. Then we test it. That's the other thing, is to go off, wear it on the skin, come back to it on the strips. So I'll call that, let's be Cocoa 1. This will be Cocoa 4. And so we'll come back, we'll smell it, we'll put it on skin, we'll see what that's like, I'll put it in a bottle, but nobody really needs to watch that.